It's probably wrapped around one concept of the word called purpose. When you have purpose, purpose kind of gives you a reason, and a reason kind of stimulates hope, and then hope kind of gives you the substance of the idea of life.
One of the most important things to replace is, of course, going to be amino acids. How would somebody go about doing that?
Well, amino acids are the base of proteins.
The building
Proteins
blocks of life.
of building blocks of life, the building blocks of muscle tissue. Like people that get too much fruit juice, for example, what happens to their blood sugar?
It goes up. I've always educated individuals to not drink their calories, but eat their calories. Now, if they're going to juice, perhaps the 80-20 rule, 80% greens and 20% fruits.
Today more than ever, there's a lot of interest and study going on about the idea of longevity. So we decided to look into celebrities and see who's living out there still that many of you have heard of. What'd you come up with, sweetheart?
Well, if you think back, some of these people have been aging right before our very eyes, right along with us. And at the top of the list is Clint Eastwood.
Oh my gosh. Make my day, punk. Right. So that guy, we've watched him in his younger movies, and the thing is, you can now, because of movies, you can see the older version and the younger version and watched how they've aged. And you can actually revisit that. So their age is actually revisited in front of their eyes too. But I think that's a fascinating example. So he's had a pretty full life, hasn't he? What else you find?
What about Mel Brooks at 98 and some of his famous movies like Blazing Saddles?
Oh my gosh, that guy, great comedian out there. I think humor's probably good medicine for the soul. I think that's a key right there.
Dick Van Dyke, the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Oh my gosh, one of my favorites as a childhood. Dick Van Dyke is still out there. And obviously, he's still out there doing his thing and acting and being a personality and vibrant, So him, especially with all those Dick Van Dyke Show episodes, you can see the youthful Dick Van Dyke, and obviously we can see the aging Dick Van Dyke.
Think about Jane Fonda, 86 years old and still going. Some of the famous things she did with like Gracie and Frankie, Moving On, Newsroom, Barefoot in the Park. Oh, and so many more.
I think G.I. Jane on that one myself. But the bottom line is, she's been around a long time. She's very active. She's active politically. She's active theatrically. She's still out there everywhere. And so she has a great amount of to-dos on her list right now.
Also, Marlo Thomas at 86, starring in That Girl and many other TV appearances.
Yeah, see, you look at some of these celebrities and those were shows that I watched as a kid. I remember watching those, and when I was in middle school or junior high, it was called back then, in high school, and now to see them still active is kind of encouraging, because we were kids watching them, but they were adults. Well, now we're adults, and we're still watching them. I think that tells us a lot of valuable lessons that we can comment on here in a moment.
So what do you think is like the key that's at the root of their longevity?
I thought about this, and I think that it's probably wrapped around one concept of the word called purpose. When you have purpose, purpose kind of gives you a reason, and a reason kind of stimulates hope, and then hope kind of gives you the substance of the idea of life. So it goes back to purpose. We were talking about this even last night, actually. We were talking about the idea of purpose. Are we fulfilling our purpose? Because purpose kind of makes you have a sense of need for society, And I think in all those people you mentioned, they all bring a level of entertainment. We all know who they are. They're celebrities. They're not just well known. They are famous people. They can't go out to a shopping mall or a restaurant and sit down like the rest of us because people know who they are. They want to get their pictures. their autographs, and they're going to come up and say the same thing I just said. Oh, I saw you in this show when I was a little girl, or I like your movies, all these 40, 50, these 4 or 5 decades long. So it's fascinating. So, but I think it's purpose. What do you think?
I think so too. I think you can actually relate to that when you were on the power team. We can't go out anywhere without someone coming up to you and going, "Hey, I saw you at such and
Yeah.
such high school and you changed my life."
Yeah, that is pretty fascinating when that happens. It doesn't happen every day, by the way, but every once in a while. The bottom line is most of that power team stuff that I experienced was 15, 20 years ago, and I'm thinking, wow. And then I see a person that is, maybe in their 30s, and they've got a family and kids. They're walking around with their, husband or wife and their little kids, and I'm thinking, wow, you just kind of aged me a little bit. But I think it does sort of solidify that, at least in that moment in time, that you had a purpose, and probably on purpose,
Well, both of us have had different seasons in our life. And if you look at the power team, you then went from the power team into you did baseball, which gave you a purpose in athletics and
Yeah.
sports. And then in the police force, which gave you a purpose of protection and service. And now even in medicine, talk a little bit about the transition of how having that purpose of protection and service actually gives you purpose to continue to carry on.
Well, purpose kind of can change chapters on you sometimes. The purpose we have, I think, overall, whether it be them or me or you, us as a couple, is to give other people hope, laughter, experience, some kind of joy, right? And in all those things. And I think with me going from police work, which is the epitome of protection and service mode, to just what we do now within the Functional Medical Institute is protection and service from a larger standpoint, a little bit different, but it's the same purpose, right? All of the things we have in concept there is really, they're kind of exhibited around purpose, trying to do something for your fellow man that makes a difference in their lives.
That's right. And now we've even launched our product line, which gives us purpose in helping humanity try to live a healthy lifestyle so they can be at their best every day, all the time.
Yeah, I was looking right there, on the back of those Kingdom Crunch boxes. And this is describing purpose. Get this. And our pictures are right there, by the way. They look pretty good, I should say. But their goal is to lead people down a pathway of true healing. Healing can take on a lot of different meanings in our lives, but healing really is preempted, if you will, by the idea of purpose. Purpose can be established through humor and making movies, making memories like this, making health, and all of it's about creating a bigger purpose in life, which I think is really what these celebrities are doing. So hopefully you're out there inspired with your purpose right now, and we'll continue to find out what that is and fulfill that. We appreciate you watching.
Nutrition and supplementation can help you reach optimal fitness.
What do I take and when do I take it? Coming right up.
Our flagship product is called Kingdom Fuel. Tell us a little bit about Kingdom Fuel and why it's so good.
We saw people struggling with the idea and concept of it's too expensive to eat healthy. So we thought, okay, that's the problem. Let's find a solution. So we found a solution for $5 or under per meal. And that represented the birth of the idea of Kingdom Fuel. So Kingdom Fuel is organic pea protein. It's got greens and reds in it. So this is the phytonutrients from green plants and red plants that we all talk about. Eat your vegetables, right? It's also got vitamins and minerals in it. So it's got a complete complex of that. And it's got also soluble and insoluble fiber, which the difference between the two is profound. Soluble actually gathers moisture and makes you full. And the insoluble goes through the system and grabs things like damaged particles.
The body runs on nutrients. It doesn't run on medication. And Kingdom Fuel is a complete multivitamin and mineral.
Introducing OK Movie Stream, your ticket to a world of cinematic classics and wonders, right from the heart of Oklahoma and the surrounding areas.
Baby, take a walk under the moonbeams.
Dive into a world of captivating stories and extraordinary talent, all on OK Movie Stream.
You got to believe, y'all.
Choose the option that suits you best. Watch for free with commercials, binge watch your favorites for 3 days, or unlock ad-free streaming for just $10 a year. Join the OK Movie Stream community today and embark on a cinematic journey like never before.
I don't know about you, but I have to have that cup of coffee in the morning. And Kingdom Cup is mold-free, it is pesticide-free, and it is organic. It's got this flavor that is delicious. You don't even have to put cream or sweetener in it.
And it's Kingdom Cup with a K,
K.
right? So this is important. 50% of all coffee at least contains mold. And this is a key thing. That's in bean form, right? So you're going to be a little grinder. They're just a few bucks. Grind it up, put it in your maker, and make it. Why did we go with the bean form, the whole bean? Because ultimately the powder form is the one that gathers the most moisture. And that means the more potential mold development. So this is actually organic, mold-free, certified. It's got a little certificate with it. That's important because ultimately people drink coffee. It's cultural. And so we tried to meet the culture where it is and create a healthy alternative.
There are a lot of supplements out there. Today we want to talk about some specific supplements that can help fitness.
Yeah, specifically, a lot of times in the industry today, the whole supplement industry is billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars.
People will often ask or say, supplements aren't regulated. Is that true?
No, they are actually. The FDA does regulate those, and they're pretty tight too. The thing about supplements as a general rule, they have to fit into a category as GRAS, G-R-A-S, generally recognized as safe. What does that mean? Well, it's generally recognized as safe. I suppose that most things, if you got too much of them, they might hurt you. You can get too much water. I think water would be classified as generally recognized as safe. So they're all tightly regulated. Now, the thing you can't say with supplements, and this is really what we need to understand, you can't make claims that they cure, treat, prevent, or mitigate diseases. And that's where a lot of supplement companies have gotten in trouble before because they have, in their zeal to make sales, will make these claims that are not allowed. And the FDA will pull the plug. So the FDA is really on that. They do a pretty decent job of that, but it is a massively expanding industry, especially in these days.
Let's talk about some of the things that are really important if somebody is, highly active or wanting to be extremely fit. One of the most important things to replace is, of course, going to be amino acids. How would somebody go about doing that?
Well, amino acids are the base of proteins.
The building blocks of life.
Building blocks of life, the building blocks of muscle tissue. So when you go out in there and work out, you're going to have the most probable breakdown of muscle tissue. So you go out there and you do your curls or whatever, and they're going to tear down little microscopic cells of the muscles, and then you have to have this rebuilding process, compensatory process to build back and get bigger. But in that rebuilding process, which has inflammation as a component, we should say, you have to have enough amino acids to help resupply that. Amino acids also help with neurotransmitters and hormones and other things, but with fitness, it's really about muscle retention. So what I like to do is make sure I get a well-rounded sort of selection of intake of different proteins, and then I will use branched chain amino acids. I will do that as part of my workout drink that I do every day.
So what about specifically choosing a protein powder like a beef-based protein powder or like our Kingdom Fuel? What's the difference?
Well, when you look at like beef-based or whey-based proteins, those are considered a complete amino acid score, which is pretty good. So you're going to have all the amino acids that you need, and maybe some ones you can synthesize as well. So it really covers them all. Kingdom Fuel has a pea protein, and it's pretty good too. The thing that you want to add, though, occasionally with anything is not just rely on one thing, but create variety. These amino acids that we have, they're so necessary for life. We have to have them. So I always tell people to not limit your protein sources to one type, but vary those as much as you can. I love Kingdom Fuel. I think it's great. You can live on that. That's what we really say people should supply that for long term. But I also like things like fish as well. I like venison sometimes.
So the protein shake would be just a complete amino acid score. You add Kingdom Fuel, you're going to bring in a little bit of carbohydrates and then your vitamins and your minerals. Another thing that's really important with athletes or people who are exercising on a regular basis is glutamine.
Glutamine is amazing because athletes, because of the stress of their physical activity, they actually develop what's called leaky gut. Glutamine is an amino acid that helps prevent leaky gut. So taking that in post or during workout is important. I mentioned a moment ago that I take in branched chain amino acids, leucine, isoleucine, valine. Those are the three branch chains. But it also has glutamine in it. And I like taking glutamine in because it prevents leaky gut, which will help you absorb your nutrients better and maintain muscle tissue more.
So I find it interesting, if we check the serum of somebody who's just run a marathon race, their glutamine levels are always low.
Totally.
So an athlete who does not put nutrition back is not likely to be the best athlete. So if we put these base nutrients back, we're going to be better on our game. Also, something that's very good in helping maintain lean muscle mass is creatine monohydrate.
Creatine is one of my standard go-tos. We've done a lot of shows on genetics before, but one thing that the methylation process does is it creates creatine. Creatine is one of those things that holds muscle tissue. It's found in your muscles. The more of you have that's stored there, the bigger the muscles can be. They hold water in there. So I look at creatine as like keeping the balloons of the muscles nice and full. It is wisdom for most people, and I'm talking everybody out there, athletes, even us older athletes, men and women. 5 grams of creatine a day, if you can do that, as a standard to help you maintain muscle tissue.
Also, we know that in methylation, if we don't have enough SAMe, we can't make creatine. So what about taking just a little bit of extra SAMe as an athlete?
You can. Well, SAMe, which stands for S-adenosylmethionine, big old word, but you can take that as well, and you got to have your B vitamins too. So back to the idea of Kingdom Fuel. We did put multivitamins and minerals in there and other plants, so you get the phytonutrients. We did that because we wanted to have all aspects of this whole area covered you're talking about.
So a lot of people like to exercise and get that extra pump. Is there a couple go-tos like NO2U or ATP Ignite that you would suggest as far as improving your exercise performance?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you like a couple things to do, and everybody should be doing this. We mentioned branched chain amino acids with glutamine. NO2U, that's going to give you nitric oxide. It's going to help you push blood around the system better. Creatine is one thing. And then if you want extra energy with electrolytes and B vitamins, go with ATP Ignite workout. If you go that variety, it already has the creatine in it. So, when you're talking about working out, optimizing performance, these things we talked about are truly remarkable at the ability to create the resilience to maintain muscle tissue like we all want to do.
Have you heard about this concept called juicing?
I have, but is it good for you? Find out next. Kingdom Candy with a K again. 2 flavors. We got salted
Delicious.
caramel and peanut butter. These are great. I mean, they're
kind of like a complete meal.
Yeah, they're 200 calories. People want to know that all the time, and not that we're worried about calories, but these things have great ingredients. They're not sweetened with sugars. They don't have those false sugars or fake sugars, artificial
They've got
sugars.
fiber in them.
They do. It's interesting. Salted caramel crunch is our newest flavor. We'll come up with some other stuff at some point, but those can bridge the gap of that sweet tooth craving. They're sweetened with monk fruit, and that's really, if you know what that is, it's not going to raise blood sugar.
It's really only 2 grams of sugar. I refer to it as the sweet without the cheat.
Any of these things out here are designed to be money-saving, nutrition-giving, and life-enhancing. And this is a big deal. So you'll find out, like thousands of other people did, that these things will help you live healthy longer. The body's amazing at recovery, so you want to give it every chance, no matter what time it is. So in that context, no, it's certainly never too late. You're never too old to start trying to be healthy.
No matter where you are in terms of your health, that you can turn this around.
It's never too late to start a wellness program, and it's never too late to reach your healthcare goals. There's an old adage, and I'm not sure where it came from, but I really do like it. And they say the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
We just want people to hang on to hope.
We are hope dealers. And if you are not paying attention to the 4 foundational pillars of health, physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual, eventually it is going to catch up.
If we get all those 4 areas right and we do it right, we see a dynamic occur in the middle called wellness, and that's where people get better. Their health is really going to return as a side effect of wellness.
Juicing is a hot topic on the market today and living a healthy lifestyle. From your perspective, is juicing the way to go?
Well, it depends. There's a lot of good properties of juicing. Obviously, the vitamins and minerals and nutrients you get from the plants, yes. But when you pull out the fiber, from like a whole apple versus a juiced apple, a couple things happen. You get less fiber, but since it's not broken down in your stomach and it's broken down in the blender, you can also get high blood sugar. So you've seen that as well as I have, like people that get too much fruit juice, for example, what happens to their blood sugar?
It goes up. I've always educated individuals to not drink their calories, but eat their calories. Now, if they're going to juice, perhaps the 80-20 rule, 80% greens and 20% fruits is a good way to go. Yeah. And then eat the rest. We want to make sure that we get plenty of fresh and raw fruits and vegetables in our daily nutritional protocol because that's where all the vitamins and minerals are.
Well, I really like, I'm not a anti-juice guy or anti-juicing guy, but I am a pro blending guy. In other words, there's a lot of people out there that don't necessarily quote unquote like the taste of vegetables, and that could be cultural or whatever, or just habitual, and we taught that way. But bottom line is, I'm a big blending fan. So people can take some of our Kingdom Fuel, for example, and they can put in, a handful of berries, for example, and get that blended in there. They could put even an apple in there. They could do that. They could also put some greens in there, like a handful of kale or spinach. Well, in that case, as opposed to juicing, you're not pulling out the fiber. The fiber's in there. So I think if you graduate this up from real food being the best, second line down would be probably the blending route, and third line down would be juicing. Now, not to say they don't have all health benefits, but I think in the totality of everything, I would prefer real food as best as possible.
Well, if they are going to juice, maybe the 80-20 rule is best. 80% green vegetables, 20% fruits, and then maybe limit the amount that they take in so they're not getting such a high load from sugar. If you take in 20 ounces of the 80-20 blend, you're going to potentially get a high blood sugar from that. So maybe 8 to 12 ounces should be a serving size.
Well, I think we've got to do that because, like, you look back historically, and I think you remember the days. Remember the days where people were drinking orange juice for breakfast? Remember that?
Oh, yes.
Drink your OJ. Well, the glasses went from about this tall to about this
Super
tall.
size, biggie
and then
size.
Maybe I should have 4 glasses, and maybe more is better.
And maybe that for lunch too.
Sometimes Americans, we get something that's good, we try to make it better by getting more. That's not always a good thing. And then obviously, this is something people need to think about too, is some of the processing methods for some of the plants that we have, some of the fruits, have those inclusion of Roundup, and things like that in there. So really think about this as far as, what we do. We also want to think organic as best as possible.
Yes, and from that standpoint, individuals who have chronic inflammatory bowel disease oftentimes do not do well on the fibers from plants. So in that individual, starting with a 4-ounce glass of green juice, which the system does not have to go through the digestive process, but they can get those good vitamins and minerals from a 4-ounce glass of juice, and that can potentiate healing.
Totally. A lot of times people look at that like a leaky gut, for example, you're talking about, and they know that fruits and vegetables are good for them, but you're right, they don't produce the necessary digestive enzyme to break them down. So in that case, and that's one of those caveats, it depends. In that case, a little bit of green juice would be really good. Even a little bit of fruit in there would be good. You could take, we've been a bunch of different places, and they'll have like different juice mixtures. They'll have a little bit of apple and maybe some kale and maybe some turmeric in there. That's really tasty, right? So you can actually get some taste there, and you can actually get some healing to the gut with that.
So when we're talking about the do's and don'ts of juicing, obviously eating fresh plants is best. Fresh fruits and vegetables, maybe blending it next and adding your protein powder to it. If you're going to juice it, keep it on the green side. 80% green vegetables, kale, broccoli, spinach, arugula, all of the different green mixtures, and then 20% of your fruits. Those berries, those dark berries, are very, very rich in antioxidants and are essential for health benefits. So the 80-20 rule stands. And then, of course, minimizing the amount of juice that one takes in a day from probably 8 to 12 ounces. And then if inflammatory bowel issues or those chronic conditions are there, you might want to start out smaller. 4 ounces at a time to see how the tolerance of the system will be, and make sure that the juice has been strained so there's no seeds or plant fibers in that juice.
Yeah, and it's a big deal too. But think about this from even the other side. Some people might hear this broadcast and I think, okay, I need to start juicing. Okay, cool. But what if you did that? I'm hypothetically talking here. What if you did that and have great big glasses of fruit juice with a little bit of vegetables all day long? Your blood sugar is going to rise up and you could become insulin resistant, right?
That's absolutely a fact. Now, the other question I get asked all the time is, does juicing break a fast? And the answer to that is absolutely yes, because fruits and vegetables have calories in them. The more fruit, the quicker you're going to break a fast.
Well, totally. And, you can think about this from various angles. I think a tool that is a viable tool is juicing. But as you noted, we got to put all this other stuff in there. So a lot of people will, hear a health expert start talking about juicing, and because they do it, everybody else does it too. Life and health and decisions like this are not a one-size-fits-all project. No, it's very much independently and personalization oriented as we organize that. That's important because everybody has different places in life they are. Everybody has different gut functions, and you got to factor in all of that from the standpoint of making sure that you don't go over the top with these juices.
Well, and just living on juice, remember there is no protein in just juice. So juicing does a body good, mainly that green juice, but it's got to be well balanced all the way around.
So there you go. All you ever want to know about juicing and more. For more answers like that, stay tuned to us for future episodes.
Exploring biohacking, bioharmonizing, biosynergizing, stacking, resilience, or anti-fragility.
Start here. No gimmicks, just proven results.